The air in the kennel was cool and crisp, the scent of fresh straw and damp earth mingling beneath the low hum of fluorescent lights. Shadow, barely 8 weeks old, lay nestled among his litter mates, a cluster of restless pups tumbling over each other in a rough-and-tumble game of chase and bite. But Shadow was different. Even in those early days, he was a keen observer. When the others yipped and yowled in excitement, Shadow would remain still, his deep brown eyes scanning the room. He would watch the handlers as they moved from cage to cage, listening to the rhythm of their voices, the cadence of commands. One handler, an elderly man named Tom, noticed Shadow's calm nature early on. "This one's got a quiet strength," Tom whispered to his assistant. "He's not the loudest, but there's something about him. He's going to be special." Shadow's coat shimmered in the morning sun, his black fur absorbing the light, save for faint hints of rust along his legs, a signature that set him apart. He was curious but cautious, always mindful of his surroundings. From his earliest days, Shadow displayed an exceptional sense of smell, already following faint trails the handlers would lay out. Unlike his siblings, who barked at every new sound, Shadow would tilt his head thoughtfully, processing the world around him with the patience of a seasoned tracker. Mark Dawson's story. Mark Dawson was no stranger to hardship. Raised in a working-class neighborhood, he learned early that life could be unforgiving. His father had been a firefighter, a hero to the community, but the job took its toll. When Mark was 15, his father died in a blaze that engulfed an apartment building. It was a loss that fractured the family, but the tragedy lit a fire inside Mark. He vowed to serve and protect, to stand between the innocent and danger. After graduating from the FBI Academy, Mark was assigned to the city's Special Task Force. He quickly developed a reputation for dedication, but the emotional scars of his past remained. Mark lived alone in a modest apartment filled with reminders of family photos and trophies. His dog tags from basic training hung above the door, a symbol of his commitment. But something was missing. A partner, a companion who could understand the unspoken weight he carried. The K-9 unit was undergoing a major expansion, and Mark had been asked to select a dog to train and work with. When he arrived at the kennel, the mix of excitement and anxiety was palpable. Rows of kennels held dogs of every breed: German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, Labradors, each barking, pacing, and straining against their leashes. But when Mark's eyes landed on Shadow, the world seemed to slow. The pup sat calmly, almost regal in posture, watching Mark as if sizing him up. The bond was instant. Mark approached slowly, extending his hand as Shadow's nose twitched. In that quiet moment, a connection was forged, one built on trust and mutual respect. The handlers shared smiles. "He's got a natural calm that's rare," Tom explained. "Perfect for your line of work." Training began immediately. Each morning, Mark and Shadow would meet in the training yard, a fenced-off area lined with trees and training obstacles. Mark tossed a ball, and Shadow darted after it with focused energy, returning it with a determined grip. But training was more than play. Commands were drilled endlessly: sit, stay, heel, search, track. Shadow learned quickly, often anticipating Mark's next move. Mark found himself talking to Shadow as if he were human, sharing frustrations about cases, hopes for the future, and fears he kept locked away from others. Their partnership grew stronger with each passing day, built on unspoken communication. Mark noticed how Shadow would nuzzle his hand when the agent seemed tense, how his keen eyes never lost focus even in the chaos of training exercises. The call came on a chilly October evening. A local drug ring had been spotted operating out of an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. It wasn't a headline case, but for Mark and Shadow, it was the real beginning. The air was thick with tension as the team approached the site. Shadow's nose twitched as he picked up the scent trail. Slowly, methodically, he led Mark through back alleys and over fences, moving with the stealth of a shadow, quiet and unseen. Inside the warehouse, the faint glow of lamps revealed crates and scattered debris. Shadow signaled sharply, ears forward, tail stiff. Mark nodded, signaling the team to move in. The suspect was apprehended without a fight. Mark felt a surge of pride. Shadow was more than a dog. He was a partner, a protector. That night, as Mark patted Shadow's head, he realized this was the start of something bigger than either of them could have imagined. But Shadow's real test was yet to come. One that would push their bond, their courage, and their mission to the absolute limit. Don't miss what happens next. Like and subscribe to watch Part 2.